Well, the GM survey has dropped, and I'm just gonna say it straight out. The disrespect is just glaring. But I do think that there is so much disregard for the Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in general in this league, and I don't exactly understand it. Let's just go to some of the meat of it. Who do you think is the best point guard in the league? And Chelsea Gray received 73% of the vote.
That frustration you just heard. That's the reaction of someone watching the WNBA general managers disrespect reality. The annual GM survey dropped, and the results are baffling. Chelsea Gray received 73% of the votes for best point guard in the league. Caitlin Clark, 20%. And if you know anything about what happened in 2024 and 2025, you know that makes absolutely no sense.
Was an amazing point guard. The things that she did in 2024, I wish that everyone that is a fan now could have been able to watch her. Sorry, not 2023. What she did in 2023. I wish that everyone was able to see just what she put down on the court. Unfortunately, Chelsea Gray did go down with a big injury, and she returned in 2024 a lot slower, definitely having to kick a lot of rust off. And in 2025, she was just a better shooting guard than a point guard. That showed in the eye test.
Let's establish the baseline here. Chelsea Gray in 2023 was absolutely elite. That playoff run was masterful. The problem is we're not voting on 2023 anymore. In February 2024, Chelsea went down with a significant foot injury. When she returned later that season, the rust was obvious. She was slower, less explosive, and by 2025, something fundamental had changed. The eye test showed it. The stats confirmed it. Chelsea Gray had transitioned from an elite point guard into a really good shooting guard.
Assists in the league. She did get 7.3 assists per game. That's what she averaged, and that was in 2023. And upon Caitlin Clark's entry in her rookie season, Caitlin Clark not only broke the game assists in the WNBA, she broke the overall total assists in for the entire history of the WNBA. So it's very hard to argue that Chelsea Gray is a better point guard than Caitlin Clark. Even last season with Caitlin Clark.
Here are the numbers that matter. Chelsea Gray's best assist season in her entire WNBA career came in 2023, when she averaged 7.3 assists per game. That was her peak as a facilitator. Now compare that to Caitlin Clark's rookie season in 2024. Clark didn't just have a good year distributing the basketball. She broke the single-game assist record in the WNBA. Then she broke the all-time total assists record for an entire season in league history, as a rookie.
Year, which was, what did she get in 2025? She averaged 8.8 assists per game with 8.5 total in her 2 seasons. But she also did it while she was powering through injuries. Imagine what would have happened if she wasn't injured. The recency bias in this is glaring. Last season, Chelsea Gray did average 5.4 assists, and I watched all of those games, and Chelsea Gray had a...
And then there's 2025, where Caitlin only played 13 games due to injury. Even in that shortened season, she averaged 8.8 assists per game. That's higher than Chelsea Gray's career-best season. Let me say that again. Caitlin Clark, playing through injuries in just 13 games, averaged more assists per game than Chelsea Gray ever has in any full season of her career. The recency bias here isn't just bad, it's insulting to anyone who actually watched basketball last season.
5.4 assists, and I watched all of those games, and Chelsea Gray had a rough go of it in the beginning of the season, but she was able to get to that midi and knock shots down. She could get a shot off at the 3 in clutch moments. Chelsea Gray is so clutch. Listen, I'm of the opinion that Chelsea Gray at one point was the best point guard in the league. It's arguable. It's arguable.
Now look, Chelsea Gray in 2025 averaged 5.4 assists per game. And yes, she struggled early in the season before finding her rhythm. But here's what she became elite at, that mid-range game. Those clutch three-pointers. Chelsea Gray is one of the most clutch players in WNBA history. When the game is on the line, she can get her shot off and knock it down. But that's not point guard play. That's scoring guard excellence. There's a difference.
That Chelsea Gray was definitely the best point guard in the WNBA at one point. I do just think that at this point, the torch has passed. This is not being said from any hate. It's just plain, undeniable.
So what's really happening here with this GM survey? Because this isn't about basketball analysis. This is about something else entirely. When 73% of general managers vote for a player whose game has clearly evolved away from traditional point guard responsibilities, over a player who just broke every assist record in the book, you have to ask what criteria they're actually using. Is this about reputation, legacy, Some kind of unspoken resistance to acknowledging what Caitlin Clark accomplished.
But I do think that there is so much disregard for the Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in general in this league, and I don't exactly understand it. Let's just go to some of the meat of it. Who do you think is the best point guard in the league? And Chelsea Gray received 73% of the votes from GMs, of which Caitlin Clark received 20%. I don't understand it. And Chelsea Gray was...
The disrespect extends beyond just Caitlin Clark. It's the entire Indiana Fever organization. This team made the playoffs in 2024 after years of struggling, largely because of Clark's ability to elevate everyone around her. Her court vision, her passing, her ability to create offense for teammates. That's textbook point guard play. And yet somehow, the people running WNBA franchises looked at all of that and said, no, we're going with the player who averaged 5.4 assists and plays more like a two-guard now. Here's the uncomfortable truth that needs to be said. The torch has passed. Not because Chelsea Gray suddenly became a bad player. She's still incredibly valuable, still clutch, still capable of taking over games with her scoring. But the role has changed. When you watch Aces games now, Chelsea isn't running the offense the way she did in 2023. She's spotting up, she's hunting her mid-range shots, she's playing off the ball more. That's not a criticism. That's an observation about how her game has evolved. Partly due to age, partly due to that foot injury, partly due to how the Aces use her now. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is doing everything a point guard is supposed to do. She's initiating offense, she's breaking down defenses with her passing. She's creating open looks for teammates at a historic rate. And she's doing it while also being a legitimate scoring threat from 30 feet out. The combination of her playmaking and her shooting gravity makes her one of the most difficult players to game plan against in the entire league. But the GM survey says Chelsea Gray is better at the point guard position. Think about what that means. These are the people making personnel decisions for WNBA franchises. These are the executives who are supposed to evaluate talent objectively and build competitive rosters. And they looked at a player who broke every assist record in one season, then averaged nearly 9 assists per game in just 13 games the next year, and said that's not as good as a player averaging 5.4 assists who plays primarily as a shooting guard now. The argument can't be about playoff success, because Caitlin took a Fever team that had been terrible for years and got them into the postseason in her rookie year. The argument can't be about clutch performance, because Clark hit multiple game winners and performed in high-pressure moments all season long. The argument can't be about leadership, because she completely transformed the culture in Indiana. So what is the argument exactly? This feels like the kind of vote where people are voting for the name they've respected for years, rather than evaluating what's actually happening on the court right now. Chelsea Gray earned enormous respect for what she accomplished from 2021 through 2023. Those championship runs with the Aces were legendary. Her performance in those finals was masterful. Nobody is trying to take that away from her. But we're supposed to be evaluating who the best point guard is right now, in 2025, based on what they're currently doing on the basketball court. And if you watch the games, if you look at the numbers, if you evaluate what each player is actually being asked to do within their offensive system, there's no honest argument that Chelsea Gray is playing better point guard basketball than Caitlin Clark. It's just not supported by evidence. What makes this particularly frustrating is that it feeds into a larger narrative about how Caitlin Clark and the Fever are treated within the league. There's been this consistent pattern of downplaying their accomplishments, of finding reasons to qualify their success, of acting like what happened in 2024 and 2025 wasn't as significant as it obviously was. The attendance records, the television ratings, the playoff berth, the individual statistical dominance, all of it gets minimized or ignored. So when you see a GM survey where 73% vote for a player who isn't even playing traditional point guard basketball anymore, over someone who just had 2 of the most productive facilitating seasons in league history, it's hard not to see it as part of that same pattern. It's disrespect disguised as professional opinion. The question is why? Why is there such resistance to acknowledging what Caitlin Clark has accomplished? Is it because she came from college with so much hype that people want to see her fail? Is it because her success has been so immediate that it makes other evaluators look bad? Is it because the attention she's brought to the league has disrupted the existing power structures and relationships? Whatever the reason, it's affecting how she's being evaluated by the people who should be the most objective observers in the sport. Chelsea Gray will probably make the Hall of Fame one day, and she'll deserve it. Her career has been remarkable, but that doesn't mean she's the best point guard in the league right now. Those are 2 completely different statements. And the fact that WNBA general managers can't seem to separate legacy from current performance is a problem. It suggests that voting is being influenced by factors other than what's actually happening on the court. So here's where we are. The official position of the majority of WNBA general managers is that Chelsea Gray is a better point guard than Caitlin Clark. Despite averaging fewer assists, despite playing more off the ball, despite not running her team's offense the way she used to. The GMs have spoken, and their answer defies both statistical analysis and basic observation, which means either they're not watching the games closely, or they're letting other considerations influence their basketball judgment. Neither option is particularly encouraging. The good news for Caitlin Clark is that GM surveys don't determine who actually wins games. The basketball court is the ultimate judge, and on the court, the evidence is overwhelming. She's one of the best playmakers in WNBA history already, and she's just getting started. The bad news is that this kind of institutional disrespect affects all-star voting, affects awards consideration, affects how she's covered and discussed. And that matters, even if it shouldn't. What do you think is driving these GM votes? Is it legacy bias? Is it resistance to the hype around Clark? Or is there actually a basketball argument here that makes sense? Because I've looked at every angle and I can't find one. Let me know in the comments what you think is really going on. And make sure you subscribe because this story is far from over.